Should be live in a second. Maybe I'm live now. All right. Okay. So I'm Heather. I'm going to do another one of these things where I just leave the camera running. Because partly I want a co-working buddy. It's going to be my computer. I'm just going to pretend there's somebody out there that I'm working with, and they just don't talk back. That's all. I just, Anyway, I want to have that part, and I always have a lot of stories that I want to tell. And if the goddamn camera's not already rolling, if the video's not already available, by the time I get it all set up, I've forgotten what the hell I was doing, or the whole thread has gone. So I'm just gonna let it run so that I can come here anytime I want, say whatever it is that I need to say. I've got some shit to release because I'm really fucking pissed about the ways that so many men in the past handful of days have all in very similar ways, disregarded, disrespected, dismissed, and overridden my physical and energetic boundaries. And that's been really fucking annoying. Actually, beyond that, I am feeling some absolute rage. And I know that the rage is coming less from these specific incidents and more from the buildup of something similar happening, a lot. So big rage coming up. I am rearranging my room, my shared room with my partner. I like doing that, not only when I've come up with a better idea for how to set the room up, but also like when a big energetic shift has happened or needs to happen. And we're transitioning out of what was a bit of a darker, yuckier, energetic to be stuck in for a little while. And we're stepping into much more heart-centered, community-oriented, like giving acts of service, as well as going towards connection with each other rather than shutting down or moving away when something's gotten intense. So we're shifting into trying to meet each other in those moments better. And so had a lot of practice with that. Last night was Valentine's Day. I do not put a lot of stock in we have to celebrate our day in a particular way on a particular day. And that means a particular thing. Like that. I know that that's bullshit. But it just so happened there was something that he loves to do that was happening on Valentine's night. I like to do that thing from time to time too. So I'm like, let's do that together. And they were making it sort of special for Valentine's Day. So yeah, that was the plan. Unfortunately, I had already had a really rough day. I was feeling really, like, literally sick because I had gotten a housemate had a fragranced lotion that he's like, well, I didn't really smell it, so I figured it was fine. But he's, by my standard, it doesn't smell much by my standard. The standard of our agreement in the household is fragrance free, not your subjective standard. And if we're going to go by something subjective, why not orient towards the person who actually does have connection with their body and their system and their awareness, and can say this influence is causing a great deal of difficulty for my system. Why don't we believe that person rather than the one who's like, I don't notice anything. There's no problem. I don't notice it. Doesn't bother me. So it's a piece of that was happening, and then I was having the reaction, which unfortunately it keeps getting more intense every time I get I get basically anytime that a allergic reaction escalates to the point of burning lungs, throat, eyes, itchy, tingling. Anytime it's gotten to that point, it takes me quite a while to recover and feel better. I still feel sort of shitty today, and I know that's played a role. So yes, the disregard of my physical boundaries that have been clearly stated repeatedly, that have been clearly and objectively defined, and still when it's brought to every single person I had an interaction with who really was difficult for me was a man. I had a lot of similar interactions with women that were not did not feel anything like that. Anyhow, I kept running into the "it's not my fault, you're seeing it wrong," and I don't even know the words to take responsibility, so I'm not going to say anything like that. That's the thing. The archetype I keep running into. So, the way in which my body currently is being body and my boundaries are currently being disregarded is, um, for a couple of years my household agreement has been fragrance free products only, um, due to the fact that the intensity of my reaction has gotten stronger and stronger. I am providing fragrance free products for everybody. I had not yet realized that people needed lotion. um, so the house agreement is fragrance free. I have volunteered to provide it. Um, Housemate used something, has a fragrance, and yeah, has a fragrance. It hit me really, really hard, really big, intense reaction. Rather than honoring his agreement and my spoken boundary and wanting to move towards connection and compassion and uh, shared understanding, he moved back and go, "It doesn't bother me. By my standard, it doesn't smell very much." It's another housemate who's saying, "I'm so sorry that that happened, that you've been having a problem each time you've walked by the bathroom." And because I had said I should have said something sooner. I just kept forgetting. That happens too. So my body being like boundary being disregarded. You've spoken it. I've heard it repeatedly. I'm still not. I still it still doesn't make any sense to me. So I am not going to. I'm going to push on that boundary in a way that I think is reasonable. It's not going to affect you. I can do it. No, that's not true. And then the lack of like care. There was no like, your well-being is important to me. How are you? And there was no integrity and going, you know what, I know we made agreements about fragrance free. I've seen that we've talked about that a number of times, even in this text string. I'm sorry, it's gone. I didn't realize it had a fragrance. It's gone. That would have been the thing that I just really wish happened. So the first time that I felt those sort of things was actually I was quite small, and light. And I was I was the only kid around. There might have been another kid in and out, but uh, I was repeatedly picked up by my head. And of course, I hated it. And I fought and screamed and wiggled, and that made it worse, because tightening my muscles. And they usually did it longer. So the person who was holding me up would be like, "Just relax and it won't hurt," or "Relax, it's not that bad. We're just stretching your neck. Doesn't that feel good?" So then I would find a way to relax into this situation that I had no control over. Someone bigger and stronger than me was telling me that my experience of pain and fear was not happening, and that what he was actually doing was fun and felt good, and he was in control. And he was not going to stop doing this thing to me that I was saying no to in every possible way. He was not going to stop doing that thing until I relaxed and surrendered to it. And in that particular case, I mean, it was something that happened repeatedly. I don't remember a lot of details because it's not the fucking thing I want to remember a lot of details about. And I was 4, 5, 6, I don't know, not very old. But I know that there were times when I would be like, "Why is no one helping me?" I would look at my mom. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck was happening there. I just know that it felt as though I was not rescued. And I don't know the reality of that. I just know that my little inner person did not feel rescued, respected, heard, cared for, like, um, like given any sort of re-regulation of empathy, care, none of that. That I don't recall any of that. If it happened, wonderful. My system doesn't remember it at this point. Um, so that's definitely my first like very clear memory. And then again, when I was probably five-ish, we had a Jeep that was the kind that you could take the doors off. And I was terrified to ride in the car with the doors off. And my stepdad Pete would tease me mercilessly. He would say, "Quit your bitching. It's fun. Nothing's gonna happen to you. You're safe." Um, and he would tease me. He would kind of push me like he was gonna push me out the door. He purposefully did things and said things that intensified the fear for me until such time that I could pretend I was having fun, and then he would lose interest usually and do something and figure out some other way to fuck with me. But unfortunately, I also adored him so much that I would figure out ways to accept and receive and surrender to the myriad forms of unkindness that he displayed to me. So that was another violation of my clearly spoken, communicated, repeated boundary of I don't want to ride in this car unless the doors are on. I want to feel safe. I deserve to feel safe. Of course, that's not how I communicated it if I'm fucking five. And, the expectation that it seems like so many adults have of their children is that if their children need to speak to the adult in a fairly adult manner, long before it's age appropriate to expect that they have learned the communication skills that a lot of adults don't have, where they can stay centered and speak kindly when they have been activated, and particularly if they've been dismissed, ignored, diminished in any way, and they feel unheard. For the person who's being like completely unheard to have to be the one who calms down first is often really, really fucking unkind. I wish what came first was the adult, the parent, the grown human in the situation, or perhaps just the one who is more present instead of the full meltdown. What I wish would happen instead is settle down. We can't continue until you've relaxed. You are way too upset. That's not that big of a deal. Once you've calmed down, then come back and we can talk. How about instead, honey, I see there's a lot's happened here. I'm not quite sure how to help you yet. Why don't we start with, can I hold you, touch you? Let me just sit here next to you. Can we start there? And fewer words. All the fucking words is so fucking rude, when especially if I've clearly said my logic. I mean, see, I'm kind of lost you a little bit right now. My access to language is not here right now. Don't make me speak words. Just It's time to drop out of the fucking intellect and out of the brain and just feel into, what does this human who is right in front of me need right now? Do they need more questions? Do they need more words? Do they need more like decisions that they need to make right now? Do they need more to like identify? No. What's needed in that time is I can see that a lot's happening right now. If you know a way I can help you, please say it. Otherwise, do you mind if I try some things? Do you mind if I put my hand on your whatever, like right here on your leg? Whatever the small step is, and the slow like leveling up instead of going right in for the full enfolding bear hug, which is overwhelming and overstimulating, especially in a state of big distress. So yeah, communication is a learned behavior. Ability to stay centered amidst chaos or big feelings is a learned behavior. And even in somebody who has practiced it and learned it and studied it a great deal, it is not always going to be available. Human beings are not always able to translate into spoken language, particularly a particular kind of spoken language, when there's a lot going on. It's not spoken language that's communicating. So why don't you just stop and look? Just see, oh, you're like this. Oh, you're crying. Oh, you're not looking at me. Oh, okay. You don't have to say all this shit out loud. Just notice this person who I love and who I care for, even if they're a stranger. Like I care for this person and their well-being. Instead of words, 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 questions. What's wrong with you? Withdrawal. How about instead of that? Oh, I see. There's a lot happening. Do you know a way that I could help you in this moment? Or could you say a way that I can help you in this moment? It's fine. Do you mind if I try some things? Just, and if there's even if there's not words necessary, even in that moment, words aren't absolutely necessary. Like with my partner, for example, like he wouldn't have to say all those things to me. Maybe to a stranger, maybe we should have that conversation. But when I'm in complete distress, what I wish happened more readily is I see that you're really uncomfortable right now. I see that we've reached meltdown, something, whatever it is, just naming what's happening, and just coming to me, just being right there, just looking at me. That's all. That's all I need. And then maybe some like, I love you right now. I love you always. I'm sorry you're uncomfortable and this is hard for you right now, but you're safe. I'm here with you. Your well-being is important to me. Any variation of those things would be super nice. Basically, the stuff that you wish were spoken to you as a small child, or the things that you know feel really good to a small child when you say them when they're upset. Grown-ups need that too. There would actually be a whole hell of a lot less meltdowns if there was more like, let's feel into what's happening. Can I be with you in your experience rather than talking, making you translate into words? How about we spend our energy just being with each other? Then you got to talk to me. You got to explain it. I need you to answer these questions. I don't know what to do, even though we've talked about it a dozen times before now, and you've said specifically what I could do in this moment. I don't remember. I don't know what to do. No, don't do that. I remember where all this started. I was naming the ways that my body and my boundaries and my words have been disregarded and dismissed and denied. All those things. Once I started to get close to puberty, once I started to get to puberty area, the energy that my stepdad brought to any time we spent together started to change. And things that used to be really fun, like wrestling, especially with him and the babies, my toddler brothers, hugging, sitting in his lap, just sitting next to him. Yeah, asking for any sort of physical contact or connection or comfort was translated into a sexual energy for him. And as soon as I had some sense of what was going on, of course, I could feel like, this doesn't feel good. And there was a period of time where I was like, I just really want to be close to him. Maybe it won't happen this time. And then eventually I was like, well, I'll just make sure I'm never close to him. Well, our entire cabin was wasn't much bigger than my current bedroom. And it's a master bedroom. It's a decent size. I wouldn't even call it a big master bedroom. And it's not a whole lot smaller than the entire square footage of the cabin. Well, at least the main floor. I did have my own space upstairs. No doors, no, like there's insulation, but no drywall or other things that kind of create some distinction of sound. So Yeah, as soon as I realized what was going on, I started saying, "No, stop it. I don't like that. Um, uh, that makes me uncomfortable." I would say those things in a million ways, and he would scoff or like whatever, or you like it, or any variation of it's for my pleasure, and I don't, and I'm not. You're wrong in saying no. Um, Basically, we had that argument until I was at least my early 20s. Yeah. I wouldn't say when it stopped altogether, but I think I was in college. Um, so yeah, there would be multiple times if he was home, which sometimes he'd be gone for weeks or months at a time, and there were pluses and minuses to that. But at least I knew that nobody was going to be coming up behind me and grabbing my ass, or saying things about my breasts. At least I knew I was getting a fucking break from that whole like vibe. Um, but then yeah, for years I would be like this. I'd have to watch. I'd have to go up against walls. I'd have to like, in some way, protect actually all parts of my body, my psyche, the things he would say to me, um, and listen to the ways in which he invalidated my experience and said, "All like you would like it," and no, you're, I mean, whatever, whatever. I don't honestly in this moment can't even remember the specifics. I just know that they were not my, uh, not how I felt, and they were generally the opposite of how I felt. Um, and yeah, it sucks to say no, stop it, leave me alone. No, I don't like it. To yell it, scream it, swear it, say it quietly, say it over and over and over again. Like I tried everything. I probably wrote him notes too. That sounds really familiar. I probably wrote it down too. I hate it when you say that. I hate it when you do things like that. Um, all of those things for years and years and years. So, does it doesn't it make sense that I get pretty fucking pissed when yet again a man in particular is I'm saying I've clearly spoken this no to you, and he's saying but but there's something else. Yes, I might have said okay before, but I'm saying no, there's something else that we need to this isn't that bad, so I don't think I should have to do what you're saying. Your no isn't important enough. It's not strong enough. My need, want, desire, whatever it is more important than yours. Um, yeah. I don't need to understand your perspective because mine is more important. Is basically what the message feels like. Deal with it. Get over it. You're too sensitive. You're making too big of a deal out of it. Mountain out of a molehill. Uh, you're overreacting. You're hypersensitive. You're ridiculous. I'll give you something to cry about. That's just what men do. That was grandma who said that actually. His mother said, "Oh, that's just what happens. Just, it's not that big of a deal. You ruined a family because of that. It's not that big of a deal. It happens to everybody. Don't ever call me again." That's what grandma said. We weren't blood related, but she played the role of grandma since I was about 5, so that sucked to hear it at, let's see, was I 21 yet? I don't know, maybe I'm 20. So yeah, that's fucking lame. And so yeah, I get fucking pissed. I get pissed. I get pissed. I have to walk around in the world and I have to pay attention to everyone around me. I have to make sure that no men are leering at me, that no men are like thinking about how can they get in and touch me. No men are like trying to like look for ways to like say shit to me that I don't want to hear. I know that it's a small subset of men around me. Unfortunately, for so long, those were the ones who seemed to come towards me. So they're the ones that I'm afraid of seeing. I'm looking for them. I'm looking for the people who are like, who wears a lot of makeup, who's wearing a lot of fragrance. I need to make sure that I stay way the fuck away from that person. So I'm watching for the people who might make me have an allergic reaction with their fucking chemicals. Then I'm watching for like the cool people, the people who look nice, the people who look like, wow, I would like to share a smile with that person. But unfortunately, I'm spending so much energy on protecting myself because it always appears to be my responsibility to make sure that I'm not overreacting to someone else's like um, preferences. That's the main thing that drives me the fucking crazy. It's a fucking preference to use fragrance, to wear fragrance, anything like that. That's a preference. I have a health need to be able to breathe. And when those chemicals are around me constantly, it makes it very difficult to breathe. And so rather than there being a recognition that like, wow, this really intense reaction is happening in a particularly sensitive human. I wonder if that's actually could be information for those of us who are not so terribly sensitive that perhaps what might be happening to them could eventually happen to me. Maybe it's already happening to me and I'm not even aware of it. So how about instead of saying, I don't feel that thing, that's not bothering me, and my preference is to smell like whatever the fuck this thing is, and so it's you who needs to change, being me. I have to be the one that changes. No. So yeah, that's another way that just being in the world is so fucking annoying and anger making and scary and of course there's other things I'm watching for, and some of it is fear based, some of it is based in actual experience, some of it is based in bullshit. Okay, I'm ready to take a break. Yes, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna set a timer. uh, I'm gonna mute this, um, and I'll come back when I'm ready to come back, but my goal is my intention is to start the process of resetting my room. That's what I'm going to do in the next 25 minutes. And so I'm going to, and then I'll come back and say how far I got in those 25 minutes. Okay, there we go.